All right, you're listening to 91.5 WUML Blues Deluxe. It's my pleasure to welcome the Reverend Richard John to the show. Hello there, Mr. Reverend Richard John.
Well, hi, guy.
How
How you
are
doing?
you?
Oh, bearing up, mate.
Where are you originally from, Richard?
I'm from the East End of London. I'm a Cockney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long were you living there in London?
I moved out of London to Essex. So, I went south into Essex and moved around quite a lot in my life.
You're in France right now. Where in France are you?
No, I live in Spain. I
Spain,
live
I
in
mean. Sorry, Spain.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. I live in Andalusia, and I live in a cave there. So,
And what time is it there right now?
sorry,
What time is it there in Spain?
it's 8:30 here.
8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
That's great. So, starting out as a kid, what kind of music were you listening to growing up?
It I had two older brothers. One of them was in the army, and he came back with Elvis Presley 78s. And amongst the 78s he had there, the earliest track I can remember, I mean, listening to it, I didn't really understand it, but I loved it, was Ain't Fattening No More Frogs for Snakes by Sonny Boy Williamson. Then there was another track there I found in his stuff. He moved out, got married and moved out, left a lot of stuff behind. And one of the records that I found there, it wasn't a 78, it was on I think it was a 45, was Stoned by Dylan. So I kind of like that. As a young teenager, like everybody else around at the time, where I'm from, there was Hendrix, and I came along at a time when it flooded the world with great music. Hendrix, to Clapton, to the Yardbirds. It was a huge amount of really talented music that you really had to be deaf to miss. So it was difficult to say, but I always had a kind of feeling for blues music. And I felt I could just, when I picked up a harmonica, I could just kind of play that feel and do that thing in that way.
Yeah, the late 60s, early 70s, there was lots of great blues coming out of the UK. Lots of it.
Sure. And I mean, it was the time of a lot of people were really, Dwayne and his brother Greg. I mean, the influences were enormous. It was a time when Bob Dylan and Donovan, and it was just so many different people came along with such great music. It was an influence just being there, to be honest. I stood in the West End of London in front of Freddie King, and with my friend John, and he was literally a meter away in the audience with us, and it was just awesome. Just watching him stand there, just play this blues music. Like he was playing a solo at the time, and walking around in the audience. And
What year was that, roughly?
oh,
Do you remember?
I've no idea what year
Was
it
it
was.
it's got to be in the 70s, somewhere in the 70s, I'm guessing, or
I
80s.
think it was late 60s, to be honest.
Late 60s.
Johnny and I were around about 68-ish.
There's a resurgence in UK blues right now, too. You know that.
I didn't know that. I don't go there very often, to be honest.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of people, a lot of young people doing blues over there now.
Uh-huh.
So how'd you end up in Spain? What made you decide to move to Spain?
I was just looking. I was selling a car, and there was a free newspaper called Loot. And I was flicking through the paper looking for my advert, and I came across the place in Spain for sale, so I bought it. I booked an airplane, and I came over, and it's a cave inside a hill, a bit like The Hobbit. And I just fell in love with it straight away, instantly, and the area and everything else, and bought it. It was a time when I'd sold my own home in the UK. So I was liquid at the time, and just decided I wanted to do that.
I want to buy a Hobbit home, right? I want to buy a Hobbit home, basically,
There you
right?
go. There you go. You know, yeah.
And you're still there, right?
Yeah. 20 years later, we hit 2008 with my partner and I. My partner's in finance, and we were earning a okay living. That's how we were earning our money through finance on the stock market.
Yep.
And 2008 came along, and we caught a bad cold and lost a lot of money. And I was forced into either going back to the UK, where we would have very little, or it was a case of buying an old van. Keely went online and searched for work. She would follow people around online like a stalker, wherever they played, and I'd hit Madrid and all the little villages around, or the small towns around Madrid, cashing in on local saturation. We built up. I'd go away for like 2-3 weeks at a time in this old van I'd bought and converted into a living quarter, and come back with enough green to live for a little while longer, and then we'd do a bit more, and so on and so on. I did that for about 13, 14 years.
So you lived out of that van and played.
Absolutely, yeah. The thing is you played at a weekend, so you'd do like maybe 4 gigs at a weekend, sometimes 5 if there was a bank holiday Monday. You'd do a Vermouth on Sunday, which is at 1:30 in the afternoon after finishing at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, it was kind of tiring, but during the week time, it was nothing. So I was just sitting in the van. You know, you're not really allowed to do it in Spain, so I had to move every day, different location, and that's where I started writing songs. I didn't start writing songs at that point, but I was writing songs in the back of the van. And when I went to a gig, I'd try the song out, and if it worked with the audience, I'd lather it up and give it a bit of a shine and stuff. And that's how I kind of shuffled through and the different songs that I had to find out, you know, which ones I'd keep and which ones I would sort of shelve.
So you play electric and acoustic, both?
Yeah, I play 4 guitars on stage. I have an amp that's facing me and a deck on top. A lot of gear in a short little space, so you have a big feedback problem. But I managed to get over those problems over the years, and I have a beat box which I play with my feet. I kind of got it up to a place where I could do a double beat and stuff while I was playing. But the guitars were in open tuning for slide work, because I prefer slide to ordinary guitar. And I just sort of built the act up from there, really. The harmonica thing. If people say to me, "Can you play that lick for us?" You know, or they've heard a record. I can't do it on its own. I can only do it as a whole. If I'm playing with my feet and my guitar and and everything, and then I can do it. You know, and remember it. Oddly enough, but like I say, if I just played the harmonica on its own or the guitar passage, I can't. I don't know why. I just can't do that.
And
Yeah.
you've played festivals. I was reading through your
That's right.
biography.
I
You're playing many festivals along the way.
I have played some festivals. Yeah. I like festival work. It's a time to shine. You know, it's your half an hour on stage when, you know, all the other hard work you've done and stuff to learn. I read a book called Where the Blues Began, by Alan Lomax.
Yeah, I know about that. I know that book.
You know that book?
Yeah.
Well, at the back of that book, Bill Bruns is quoted as saying, "If you want to play the blues, you've got to play live." I couldn't agree more. That is where it's at. So you do all this live work in little pubs where people turn up or don't, you know, and you just carry on going and going and going. And then a festival is a time when you can walk on stage with all of that stuff behind you and be you and be exactly the Reverend, which is, it took me 20 years to become the Reverend. You know, he's an alter ego, he's an alter person, and he, all on his own, you know, he is somebody else. And I kind of, that festival work is where that happens best.
How did that name come about, the Reverend, for you?
Yeah, it's after the Reverend Gary Davis.
Wow.
How can you not admire that guy?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You've obviously seen the video where he with Donovan and he makes the woman cry. I mean, yeah, it's who can do that, you know?
Yeah, I was playing Death Don't Have No Mercy, one of his famous songs, not too long ago, and he's great. Reverend Gary Davis was great.
That voice, where did he
Yep.
get that voice, you know?
Yep. So you opened for Sherman Robertson also, I saw.
Yeah, he played in Italy the night before or 2 nights before or whatever. Anyway, I think he was quite tired, and not that it made any difference. He was still awesome on stage, but I played at this gig at this festival at Rosses, which is got very, very north Spain. It's above Barcelona, Rosses, and it was packed. You know, there was loads of people coming to see him. So because I catched his audience, it was an all-day festival. There was lots of different acts on, and I got that slot by luck, really. Somebody else didn't turn up; they were late, and I got that slot. He went on, and that person went after him. So I kind of warmed his audience up for him, you know.
You lucked out. That was the right place at the right time, wasn't it?
I was the right place at the right time. Absolutely, yeah, sure.
Any other famous people you've opened for or done?
I mean, I haven't. I don't really. I can't say that I have. Paul Jones interviewed me on Radio 2 many years ago, in '98, and that was my 15 minutes of fame. We all get one, and that was mine. He's a very nice guy. You know, he opened up with that question: "Why do you call yourself the Reverend, Richard?"
That's good. And tell me about the blues scene in Spain. Is there a blues scene? Do you get to?
Yeah. There is a beautiful blues feel over here. I mean, when the players play it, they're awesome players. There's a guy called Mingo Balcher, and he's been in the European, representing Spain in the European blues. I think it's like a contest of some kind or whatever. And his band's been there and won twice, I think. He currently works with what's his name? I forgot his bloody name there. Very famous guy. He worked in the studio with Fleetwood Mac, and I'm just trying to think of his name. I can't think for the second. Can't in 10 minutes time. Age syndrome. Yeah, so he that's what he's doing. He's kind of, there is one place that if ever your listeners come to Spain and they go to Madrid, right? I played there 10 years on the bounce, which is quite a feat actually. It's a tiny little club. It's under the pavement. Nobody ever advertises it. And like you, the guy that owns it has been pursuing nothing else but blues music. When everyone else was doing techno music or discos or whatever, this guy stayed with blues music.
Yeah.
And it's a tiny little place. It's a bit like the Cavern in Liverpool where the Beatles started. And it's really good. It's called, the name of it is La Coquette. It's if anyone wants to go there, they go to a metro station called Opera. They come out with the palace behind them or a theatre behind them. They walk down a pedestrianised road. It's a massive, very, very wide street called Calle Arenal. They go down 3 turnings to the left, and they're there. It opens at 9. Get there around 10. It is packed. And if you can't speak Spanish, you're going to be talking to yourself. It is for them only, really. Some of the best blues acts I've seen in Spain play there. You know, so yeah, La Coquette. I recommend it thoroughly. It's from there, really. There's so many different acts that sort of go around Madrid and play out in different places, Valencia and way up north in Spain. It's from that sort of little hub there. It's a vibrant scene in Spain for Spanish people.
Now, outside of Spain, do you play in other places outside of Spain? Do you get to play that much?
I played in France and I played in Belgium, but it was only en route to the UK. Then I played in the UK and came back on the ferry and came back down. So it was only I mainly played in Spain anyway. You know.
So when you played in UK, how long ago was that when you were playing there?
Well, it was a long, long time ago, maybe 5-6 years ago.
That's not that long. That's not that long time ago, 5-6 years ago.
Well, I've just thought about that actually. My wife's had cancer for the last 3 years, 3.5 years.
So sorry to hear that.
She's had lymphoma, you know, so she's on treatment and she's still with us. That's good, you know.
It's good.
It's the reason we're talking is Keely, Keely Player. She does all that stuff. She promotes. You know, she sits on the computer and she promotes and sends out to different stations and magazines and stuff while I'm doing Bob the Builder in the bathroom. Yeah.
So what's the most important thing that's happened to you in your career up to today?
What's the
most important thing that's happened to you in your career up to today?
In my career, probably the Paul Jones show. I'm you know, yeah, I would say that was the most significant thing, mainly because somebody acknowledged the first album, Loving the Blues, and that was in '98. As I said, I recorded it in '97, and I think that was probably the height of my career, really. Yeah.
How many records do you have? I know the new one. I have the new one.
3 albums I've got. I have Loving the Blues, which is, you know, it's a collection of songs, 16 songs I wrote. And then From the Inside Out, which is another 16 songs, which I wrote. And then there's this one, which I've just finished. The difference between those two and this one is that I recorded this album myself. It took me a long time to learn how to do that, because I'm not particularly, my hearing's not particularly good anymore, thanks to floor monitors. But with patience and time and effort and some help from different people, I managed to put that album together, and I'll be honest, I'm quite proud of that. You know,
I like the name of it too, like White on Rice.
Yeah, that's there he is again. That Sonny Boy Williamson, you know.
Yeah. Tell me about the songs on Like White on Rice. Tell me a little bit about them and how they developed and came about.
I think one of the main songs on that album is The Frenchman's Quarter. And if you do, I'll thump you one. Don't get on there tonight, okay? I'm talking to somebody. It's the cat. She's thinking about jumping on the desk in front of me. Yeah, The Frenchman's Quarter came out in one go. And it was just like Big Bill Brunsey said. I'd come off of a tour. I was about 4 weeks away from home. I'd done a string of jigs and stuff, and I just sat down and it came straight out, almost to the note. The first song was the same. It just Precious Stone. It came straight off the guitar. I sat down after a long tour, and it just came straight out. Those are the songs that I like, for me, the best. You know, a lot of the other songs are really just sort of happened along the way, if you know what I mean. They kind of, I kind of sitting there watching TV and I'm playing a lick, and I was like, what's that? You know, and I start just get that feeling from it and start singing from there, really, you know.
Yeah.
Me and My Woman, who came out like that, but that's an acoustic piece. Yeah.
And it's all original material, right? All of this is
yeah. Moonshine Special was the line. The first line came right out of a John Wayne movie. True Grit, where he's talking and the girl asks about the whiskey he's drinking on his shoulder. And he said, no, that's double rectified bus gut whiskey. Yeah. So that's where it came from. The line, in it.
That's good.
Yeah. There's a few, but John Wayne, was it Buddy Holly and the Crickets? That'll Be the Day.
Yeah.
It came from a film, The Searchers. There's several songs like that came off of lines that he had and he said throughout a film, That's where it came from. It's strange, isn't it? Don't you think? That you listen to a film when you're watching a film and something keeps coming at you. And
so go ahead.
Go
ahead.
No. Well, I was just going to ask you actually. You're an American in Massachusetts, and blues is your music. It's cultural for you.
Yeah.
You grew up with that music. I mean, for me, it's something that is secondhand.
It doesn't seem like it's secondhand based on what I hear when I listen to your records.
Yeah, there's a kind of reason for that. I had some problems when I was younger. I didn't really believe in that, actually. That stuff about, you had to have a hard life, I saw a lot of old tosh. I think it has an effect. There is something inside that happens. If you've had some hard times, the kind of hard times I'm thinking about, and it's when you're young, when you're very young, then I think it has an effect on your whole life, and something can bring that out, and that particular medium did it for me. But as somebody that has this cultural connection to blues music, and you have a vast ocean in front of you, and you've had all these years of listening to blues music, and here you are still connected to it and looking at players that are unknown, giving them a chance to say their part of their story online. I mean, that's quite significant, don't you think so?
Yeah.
I mean,
let me go back and tell you how it all ended up this way. COVID was the reason why I started to do these interviews, because I had I couldn't even go to the radio station to do the show. I had to do it from home. And what happened was, when I did it from home, I didn't want to just do a regular radio show playing music. I wanted to open it up because I had a worldwide audience now that I could get to via this online way of doing it. And I said to myself, my listening audience is going to want to know about these guys, whether they're famous or not, so they can go seek them out if they like what they hear. So I started to do it, and it blew up. Everybody was asking me to go and find other people that I didn't know about, like you.
Right.
And it gives you an opportunity to talk to my listening audience and let them know what you're all about. And that's why we do these.
Sure. No, it's clear that it's a deep vein in your life, and that's good for me. But
go ahead.
Going back to how the blues thing for me, I really couldn't. I tried very hard to play guitar when I was younger, and I really couldn't make much sense out of it. I'm just a working man like anybody else, and I'd made this slide for a friend of mine out of a piece of stainless steel with a split in it and a cut so it fit around his little pinky, nice and comfortable. And he never used it. 20 years later, he gives it back to me. I was going through a hard time, like a blip in life, like you have. And he gave it back to me. And that night I went home, and I sat down with my guitar, and I could just play.
Did it fit your finger?
It fit straight on my finger, and I could just play. It just made sense. For the first time, by this time I was in my 40s, and it just made sense. No matter where I went with it, it was making, wow, I like this. And I found this old box on a rubbish tip. It was a photographer's box. And I wonder if I can play with my feet, and I did. And then I found a brake pipe, and I connected it up to a harmonica with some pliers and stuff. and I bent it to shape like that. And I thought, I wonder if I can do that, and I could just do it. And I found that it's like a dance, you know. It's like so what I discovered was that I'm quite severely dyslexic. So people that are dyslexic have it. They don't think linear, you know. They think in the whole. Hence, I'm doing all of it, so it's in the whole. You know, if I'm doing the guitar and the harmonica and everything on its own, I can do it a little bit, I suppose. But together, that's when I can really pump it out. And after touring for 3.5 months solidly on the road up north in Spain, I found that there's a place when you start to sell the song. If you know, I don't know if you know what that. If you
I know what that means. I know what that means.
You do. Because I didn't, and I started realizing what I was doing. I was singing it out in a way that wasn't just performing it. I was now selling the song to the audience, and the response was huge. Unfortunately, I damaged my shoulder. My wife got cancer. I had to stop playing at that point. But I sort of reached that peak and found that place, all from this getting this slide off my friend, and playing from there. So it's like a huge great circle really that I came to. So
interesting that you say you're dyslexic, but you have to be coordinated to be able to play harmonica, play guitar, and sing all three, and you can do it. How's that? That's amazing.
I can do that. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's amazing. Think about that. Being dyslexic.
It's part of I'm creative as well, so it's part. You don't have to be dyslexic to be creative, but I'm creative and I'm dyslexic, and I can do this blues thing, and I think it's connected to the way it happened when I was a baby and the things that happened to me, and I think the whole thing is kind of accidentally like that, you know. Plus the influences, as we spoke about earlier, from the 60s. All that stuff is kind of wash off on you somehow. You know?
Yeah. So where do we see the Reverend Richard John in the next 3 to 5 years?
I'm Bob the Builder in my cave looking after my wife. So it's kind of there. I have written a song recently. I started to play standard tuning guitar, bought a Telecaster copy, and I started playing this song just from nowhere, and I've recorded it, and a friend of mine heard it. But I said to him, "What about turning it into a band song?" You know, and he said, "Richard, you don't want to do that." He said, "It stands up on its own." You know, it's called Medicine Blue, and it's just a sweet little song that is I don't know where it came from. It just came out of the guitar, you know, so like that.
You should send it to me. You should send it to me. I'd love to play it.
Okay, I'll get Keely to do that. I'll make sure that I'll make sure it's in the right format and stuff. You know, I'll get her to
Dropbox it like you did your album.
Okay, I'll do that.
So tell people how they can find you online. You have a website.
Yeah, if they just put in the Reverend Richard John, I come up all over the place. So the website, I'm on the album's available on Spotify, and anyone that does me the honor of buying my work, well, thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
Well, you just mentioned band work. Do you do any band work, or you just do solo work yourself?
No, it's something that I would have liked to have done during my career, is to work with other musicians. If you picture on your own in a van, I can't really speak Spanish very well, I'm afraid. All on your own every week, day in, day out, and you get up on stage and you play on your own. You know, and you kind of crave other musicians. You know, you crave that. The problem a lot of the time is that at my age, in the 70s, you got 4 guys all in their 70s and they all know how it goes. You know where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
know where you're coming from.
Yeah. So there's that. But yeah, I've always craved that. I've always wanted to have a band. Always wanted to play in a band. I could never put it together. I mean, I tried really hard, you know.
You
But
should. You
sorry.
should try to do it.
Yeah, I can probably play. I would get a jam together. Um, Maybe it's me being a bit jaded. I don't know. But it's I find difficult playing for free. You know, and this area I live in, there's a lot of musicians that want to get up in somebody's front room and pretend they're on stage, you know, and it's ruined it because nobody, all the bar owners say, yeah, you can play for free, go and set up and it's like, I can't do that. You know, I worked real hard for what I did, for what I know and what I do. And I want paying. I want to be paid for that. You know, it's only right. I don't want it in beers because I don't drink. Alcohol. You know.
Well,
But that's a possibility for me. I'll just put aside my jaded view and go and do that. Maybe playing a jam, put a jam together. You know,
you should.
maybe you're right. If I do, I'll record it and send it to you. You'll be bombarded with reference stuff. You know it. You know?
That's good. That's good. So Richard, I just want to say thank you for taking some time out of your busy day, and I hope your wife gets much better.
She's on the way, huh? She's on the way.
And
Thank you for
I'm
that.
so glad that you connected with me so we could share your story with my listeners.
Okay, it's something that I appreciate very much. You know, your airtime is vital to players like me.
I'm
And
going to try to play it this weekend on Saturday
okay,
around 5 o'clock, somewhere in there.
okay,
And I'm going to play a few of your songs too right before it if I get a chance.
all right, magic. Thank you.
All
I really
right.
appreciate it. Yeah, and in the meantime, I'll send you Medicine Blue.
Okay. Thank you. I'll probably
Okay,
play if I get it. I'll probably play that too.
okay. I just hope that the recording's all right. You know, I recorded it quickly.
That's all right.
And my hearing isn't fantastic, so.
Richard, thank you again. Anytime you
No,
want to come back on and talk about your career, let me know.
okay. Yeah, thank you again.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye now.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.